Bioefficient amino acids. Egg is one of the most bioefficient amino acid sources you're ever going to find. Well, I haven't been eating eggs. It's full of cholesterol. I only ate the white. The yolk is full of lutein and lycopene. Lutein is good for your eyes. That's in the yolk. The yolk is full of cholesterol. I don't care. And I want you to learn not to care. And believe it. You don't believe it. You just know I couldn't be telling the truth. He must be deluded. It just can't be true. The yolk is good for you, and an egg is the most biologically efficient source of essential amino acids you're ever going to find. Eat some eggs. Don't live on them. Well, what the heck are these guys? Well, anthocyanidins come under a family called flavonoids. And women are big on flavonoids now because they've heard of isoflavones. Got a recognition back there, I think. Isoflavones because, gee, that's in soy and it'll make my bones better. Well, I'm not so sure, but in any event, an anthocyanidin is a flavone, or a flavonoid, pardon me. And this is blue stuff. And the carotenoids are orange things, okay? Well, it's not that simple. These are yellow through red, and of course red's got some blue in it, and then these are blue through purple, and by the time you mix those all up, you've got all the colors of foods. So, turns out those are not essential not essential, what's the word? Anyway, they're not essential, they're just optimal. If you don't get them, you don't be healthy. If you don't be healthy, you don't become, I'm using that in the vernacular obviously, you don't become anabolic. If you don't become anabolic, you do not make new good stuff. Okay, so these are in foods. Well, I told you there are 500 of these. Well, there are probably thousands of these, but certainly dozens. Let's start there. Well, how many dozens of anthocyanidin supplements do you want to take, and how many hundreds of carotenoids do you want to take? You don't do it. You eat food. Bioefficient amino acids, eat some protein. Eat a bunch of it. Am I talking about a high protein diet? No. So don't get crazy here. That's not what I said. But most people, it isn't true that Americans eat too much protein. Japanese eat more protein as a percentage of their calories than do Americans. And how many times have you heard, oh, the Japanese live on rice and air? It's not true. Okay, why did I tell you that? Not that the Japanese are so much healthier, but that's an interesting point. It isn't true that we're this big protein hog that's depriving the world of cattle and pigs. Long and short chain of essential fatty acids. I gave the example of butyric acid, butter fat, and that being an immune booster. Well, so that works up there on the cytokines and works up on the interleukins. Remember that thing up there? Well, the longer ones work on the eicosanoids, the relationship between inflammatory and anti-inflammatory prostaglandins. If you stay inflamed, you don't just get a heart attack, you get a heart attack and have sudden death. Because inflammatory response to a heart attack, and you might have one, people have them, we're discovering more and more people have them all the time, we don't even know it. But if you have one and you're in a highly inflamed state, you're dead. And the reason you're dead is that is a pro-arrhythmic condition. You're more likely to go into ventricular tachycardia, ventricular fib or something like, or flutter, anyway, VFib. So that's why you care about getting enough fat. You want to balance your prostaglandins, eicosanoids, and that's in fats. If you've been fat phobic, you don't have enough of this. If you've been so fat phobic that the only fat you get is, I don't know, yogurt, you're even worse off than if you're eating lots of fat because you don't have enough of the balance of the fats. You're making only what are known as type 2, type 2 prostaglandins, eicosanoids, which are the pro-inflammatory ones. But if you've been eating your vegetables, eating your grass-fed beef, and that includes buffalo, by the way, and your fish, you've been making enough of the long-chain omega-3s and flaxseed and all this other stuff. And flaxseed alone won't do it. You hear that? Oh boy, that's a great one. I'm going to eat lots of flaxseed. That's an 18-carbon omega-3. You need an 18, a 20, and a 22 carbon omega-3. The 20 and the 22 do not occur in the vegetable world. Many people, not all people, fewer people as we get older, have the enzymes that can make an 18 into a 20 and a 22 carbon omega-3. Bunch of words, blah, 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 I know, but what I'm trying to show you is you have to eat this complex diet so that you get enough of those things to make enough anti-inflammatories to keep the process going. Now, the message, besides all this other stuff, is we want to be anabolic. We want to make new stuff. You can only really make that if you have to create an anabolic environment. You don't want to take anabolic steroids. You want to produce them. Low insulin with physiological spikes is the ideal environment to become anabolic. If your baseline insulin is 3, which is great, and you have a meal that spikes it to 10, which is still within normal limits, you've more than tripled your baseline insulin. And it's that delta, it's that amount of change that creates or helps create the anabolic environment. Well, you're not going to have an insulin of 3 if you're having pasta every day. You never will. And I don't care if you're insulin resistant, which you've heard about, or we're not talking about Atkins versus McDougall or whatever, and that's not what I'm talking about. I'm telling you, if you don't live at a low insulin level with a subtle response to the physiological insulin response, you're not in an anabolic state. If you're not in an anabolic state, you won't make new good stuff. You got to eat in a way to be in a low insulin with physiological spikes. Overdrive anabolism. Overdrive anabolism. We want to push that anabolic side because it wanes as we get older. Overdrive anabolism means perform and eat in a way that makes you more anabolic. How do you eat to be anabolic? You eat a whole bunch of protein. And I didn't say high protein diet. You eat a whole lot of protein. You eat a lot of times in a low insulin environment with physiological spikes. This is glucose cycling or carb cycling. It's not carb loading, by the way. And it's more protein than you need, and they're always talking about how much you need. I want you to have more than you need so that you will drive the anabolic process. And this gets back to spare and targeted supplements. And now, according to the National Academy of Sciences, the guys that set the RDAs, the recommended daily allowances, I guess they've got another word for it now, MDAs, minimal daily allowance, anyway, the vitamins. 90% of the American population is deficient in one or more vitamins, essential vitamins. And that's when we're all popping multivitamins and eating more than we should and so on and so forth, right? So yes, you do need lots of micronutrients. Minerals, vitamins, essential fats, essential amino acids, oxygen, sleep. I add that as the 51st essential nutrient, by the way. Energy source. Everything serves as an energy source other than rocks, just about. So you need all of that. And where you're going to get that is from targeted supplements. Now, let me tell you what I mean by that. I gave you the example of too much beta-carotene. Well, you don't want to target that one. But there are those that directly address specific, known, identified, serious risk. Classic one. The most common genetic disease in the United States is an iron storage disorder. The most common genetic disease in the United States is an iron storage disorder. Now, most people's blood tests don't even include any test to look at the most common genetic disease in the United States, and yet everybody's popping iron. Well, if you've got an iron storage disorder, you need to be giving blood, not popping iron. There's a case where you target that supplement, you avoid it.